welcome back. Welcome back. I'm so excited to be here with you again. If you have not, and you know I love saying this, like, subscribe, share with someone, invite another mom, another dad, another parent to partake of the Transparent Parenting podcast, which is quite a mouthful, but you are so very, very welcome. Thank you so much for journeying along with us. If you are with us now, this is quite a number of episodes in, so we appreciate you being here, and I hope that this is useful and beneficial to you. We want to hear from you, so feel free to drop comments, feel free to IG us, feel free to just comment on things that you'd like to talk about, things that you'd like to hear about. Today, I'm particularly excited because it's a topic I've wanted to talk about for such a long time. It's something that I've been talking about to other parents, wanting to know what's your take on this and how are you doing it or how are you going about it, and at what age do you start this with your kids? And that is the topic of financial literacy. I'm so excited about the guest that I have here with me today, Mercy Amugune Masiga. Did I get it right?
You have.
And did I say it the way it should be said? Like with the, did I go
If you're
up?
speaking English and Swahili, yes.
Okay, so if I'm speaking the language, the lingua that I should be speaking, is it Mercy Amugune Masiga? Or how would you say
You've
it?
tried.
I've tried. Okay, I will let you introduce yourself, and then that way I'm not gonna do damage to the name. But I'm so excited to have her. Technology is an amazing thing. We've actually been connected by technology. We actually met on a WhatsApp marketplace. I had been seeing Mercy on there for a long time. She was actually selling a book that we're going to be talking about later on today, which is Money and Me. And financial literacy is such a key thing. And I think the timing was so great because I've been reading or rereading, I should say, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And one of the things he echoes throughout and laments about is the fact that, financial literacy is not something a lot of parents not because they're bad parents, but it's just something that a lot of parents don't think about. They don't impart to their children. Somehow, maybe we think that it's something that the school system should be doing, or something that we just don't think about. Something that maybe you think your child will learn by observation, or it's something that you maybe think, hang on, it's not time to talk about money just yet. Maybe this is something or conversation that we need to have later, when they're a bit older, and when is old enough, when is too young. So we've got Mercy on here. I'm actually going to get her to introduce herself because I was looking at her rap sheet and I thought, I don't even know where to start. She is so many things. I want to hear how she describes herself. And if she sells herself short, y'all, I will jump in and say, you forgot this, that, and the other. But Mercy, I will get you to introduce yourself. Karibu sana to the Transparent Parenting Podcast. Karibu.
Thank you, Bella. I'm glad to be here today.
Awesome.
Introduction. I'm used to being on the other side, listening to people telling me about themselves. And I feel like I'm on the hot seat. My name is Mercy.
You are on the hot seat today, by the way. You are on the other side. Just FYI, and I know you mentioned this, but Mercy is actually a clinical psychologist. And so when she talks about sitting on the other side, is that she's usually got someone in a couch and they're telling her about themselves. Today, you are in the hot seat.
Okay.
Go.
You're the therapist today?
I am the therapist.
Okay, I do families a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm Mercy. Amugune is the family I come from.
Okay.
Masiga is the family I'm married to.
Fantastic.
So Mercy Amugune Masiga, and I'm happy to be here today.
Yeah.
For introduction, yesterday something very interesting happened.
Mm-hmm.
My kids opened school yesterday. So they come from school and my 8-year-old girl, I'm like, I missed you when you were in school. And the girl looks at me and tells me, Mom, did you send yourself today?
Did you send yourself today?
I have been sending them the whole holiday.
Oh,
So, get this, get that, get the other one. So she's like, Mom, did you send yourself today?
That is
and
so
I'm
clever.
like, I'm like, you got me there. It was like, I missed you being here. I missed someone to send.
So for her, it's like the only way you would have missed me is you didn't have anyone to send around. So
yes. And I looked at the girl and I'm thinking, did I say that to my mother? No. I would not have told my mother that.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
serious?
We're a different generation. Trust me. There's some
Yes.
things you do not.
Yes, so I'm a mother of 5 beautiful children. 11-year-old, 8-year-old, 6-year-old, 3-year-old, and a 10-month-old baby. And these people, I would say, have parented me. They've brought me forth.
Wow.
There are many things I would never have been if they weren't in my life. I
Yeah.
would say my career progression, my choices in life, everything has revolved around these people.
Wow.
So today I introduce myself as a mother to my children,
Yeah.
a wife to my husband,
Yeah. I love that.
a daughter to my mother.
Yeah.
Because the many times I sit and I talk to my children and I hear my mother speak through my voice.
Yeah.
And I remember telling myself, I will not be like my mother. And then I speak and I hear my mother speaking and I'm like, Mom, yes, you're here.
You're here. You're definitely here.
So, yes, apart from that, I'm a clinical psychologist.
Yeah.
And I like describing myself as a seeker.
Seeker.
Yes.
Okay.
I love asking questions. I love seeking for answers. I love new things. I'm bored with routine. Yes. I love plants. I love art. I love watching animals, not keeping them because there's so much work.
So no pets for your kids. Mm-mm.
They will have them when they're old enough
Okay.
to take care of the pets.
Take care of
I'm
them.
not so much into don't have them.
Mhm.
I'm into you have them when you can take care of them because pets are interesting.
Yeah.
They're the babies that never grow up.
Mm-hmm.
So basically that is me, really. I think more of me will come as we talk.
Yeah.
Back to you, Bella.
Absolutely. Okay. So let me now start filling in the gaps. Accomplished author. Mercy, please tell the people, in amongst the 5 children that you have, the husband, and the clinical psychology, how many books have you written?
Interesting. My first book was, let me see. The first book I published, we did with my husband.
Yeah.
It's called Life Beyond Embarrassment. The
Life
psychology.
Beyond Embarrassment.
Yes.
I like that. What's the book about? I mean, obviously embarrassment, but I'm like, what? It's an interesting title for a book. What is the content?
Yeah, Life Beyond. What is it called? Why am I forgetting the name? But it's just owning yourself,
Yeah.
living your life fully in confidence,
Okay.
not hiding behind the shadows.
What brought that on? What?
My husband is into management and
Okay.
business and leadership.
Yeah.
I'm into psychology.
Mhm.
So the first years of our marriage, we were like, why don't we combine what we do? You know, he comes in with the leadership and management.
Mhm.
I come in with the psychology and we come with a book because we both love writing.
Mm.
So we were like, so what do we call this book? And he's like, Life Beyond Embarrassment. And it's a matter of the way people hide behind, we all have masks.
Yes.
They don't always come out,
Yeah.
but we all have masks.
Yeah.
So there's that thing you really want to hide about yourself. And we end up hiding what would be the pivotal point in our lives. I don't like doing this. I don't like doing this. Or you want to be picture perfect for the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, why don't you just bring the authentic you out?
Yeah.
Live the real you. And in living the real you, you're able to give to the society who you really
Who
are.
you really are. Yeah.
So basically that was it. It was me and Habi combining our psychology
Your
and
first project together.
business management. Yes.
Yeah.
So that was our first book together. Then after that, I did the Let's Bond. Let's Bond was born from me dealing with parents.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's the story? The story was I deal with kids a lot.
Yeah.
I think I speak kid language. I think so.
As a clinical psychologist, is it, like, I don't know how it works. I'm guessing you specialize in a particular area. So are you saying that you specialize in dealing with kids or dealing with families?
I love dealing with kids. Let me not say specialize.
Okay.
But I love dealing with kids.
Yeah.
Okay. You'll make me go back again.
Okay. Go for it.
After I finished Form 4,
Yeah.
I was on the road with my mom
Yeah.
and someone passes in a car with a newborn baby and I'm like, oh, my mother looks at me and tells me, enda umlee alafu rudi. As in,
Yeah, before you go owing.
Yes, I've always been into babies so
Yeah,
much
yeah.
that a friend of mine was like, Mercy, if you don't start at school, you'll have 12 children like your mother.
How many children does your mother have?
12. Okay, I laughed when my friend told me that because at that point I had
Wow.
2 children when she told me that.
Wow.
When I gave birth to my fourth born, I remembered and I was like, yeah, I think
I'm well on my way.
I should start my school. So
What?
I love kids.
Amazing.
I
Yeah.
don't do pets,
Yeah.
but I love kids.
Yeah.
Kids just have this life and glow.
Yeah.
And I think, well, I look at a child like I would look at a blank paper. And I have crayons and I have paintbrushes or a piece
And
of fabric.
you can
Yes, and I'm thinking, what can this person become?
yeah.
You know.
Wow. I like
So
that.
I've done kids a lot.
Yeah.
And I think life mission calls you, I
Mhm.
would say.
Mhm.
My first job, okay, I did my attachment with Life Childline Kenya,
Okay.
which is the emergency hotline for kids.
I didn't even know we have a hotline for kids.
We do.
Wow.
Yes, 116. Child
Does it
helpline.
get busy? How do kids even know about this number? I'm like, I've never had
You've never heard of
never heard of a
116?
kids hotline. What was it? I think that's so important for other, people to know that. What is the number?
116.
116.
Yes.
From any mobile device, from any, I don't even know if anyone still
Yes.
uses
And it's a
landlines,
free,
but
it's a free line.
yeah.
So it's a free to call. It's
116.
24/7. Yes.
Yeah. And it's a hotline for any type of, if a child has I need to talk to someone.
Yes,
Does it get
because
busy?
at times it does. It used to when I was there
Yeah.
a lot.
Amazing.
And it's manned by child counselors, So you can call in for counseling,
Yeah.
you can call in for information,
Yeah.
and you can call in to report a child emergency.
Mm.
Then they get in touch with the police and the probation officers and
So
all
that
those
was
people.
your first job
Yes.
as a counselor or?
Yes.
Okay.
I interned there when I was still in campus.
Yeah.
But I was taken up after.
Mm.
And after Child Helpline Kenya, I took a short break, a year or so. And my second job was in Kakuma Refugee Camp as the pediatric counselor.
Wow.
So I think my life has just chased after children, you know.
Yeah.
So after Kakuma, I came back to Nairobi.
How long were you in Kakuma for?
2 years.
I can imagine like that. I'm sure that's a whole other book you could write about your experiences there and what you saw. And it is actually, is it the biggest, it's the biggest refugee camp in Africa, or is it in East Africa? I think there's something attached to it. There's something about it being the biggest. I think it is the biggest refugee camp in Africa, if I'm not wrong.
Dadaab was bigger then.
Oh yeah, Dadaab. I'm confusing it with Dadaab. My bad. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dadaab was bigger then. Kakuma it's actually big. I don't know their population currently.
Yeah.
I've not followed them up currently.
Yeah.
But it's big.
Yeah.
It's big. And Kakuma was one of my best lives.
Wow.
Not because I loved children being refugees, but because I felt I used everything I had to the maximum, you know.
Everything that you had learned in uni, you were drawing out, you were actually able to apply.
Yes, I was giving, and this just the way they would receive it and they would change, and it was alive, you know.
Yeah.
So after Kakuma, come back to Nairobi and I started working with children. My aim was to do a life skill thing that revolves around art and play.
Okay.
Because I'm a trained play therapist.
Mm.
So I was like, let's speak the children's language. Let's play.
What's play therapy?
It's the use of play to help children process difficult emotions. Not really children. I would even think it would do for adults who have an issue expressing themselves through words. So you can express yourself through art, through the sand tree, through the dollhouse, through anything that is play, that is not just speaking.
Yeah.
Yes. So I started, when I came back, the life skills aren't so much therapy. I was like, instead of just doing therapy, why don't we just use play for kids to express themselves or to learn life skills? So I started the Zawadi Arts and Craft Center.
So you
And
are also an entrepreneur. Let's just add that to. Because I was wondering when you would get to that. So you're an entrepreneur, you're a clinical psychologist, you're a mom, you're an author. Okay, let's keep going.
okay, yes.
So
So
Zawadi Arts and Crafts Center.
yes.
Okay.
I opened a community library where the kids would come in and just read, and then they would do art
Where was this based?
in Umoja.
Okay.
So the kids would come in and they would read books, and then they would draw what they have learned from the
So
books.
this was free to the community, was open.
It was 50 bob.
Okay. Which is fair enough to run it, and
Yes. And the babies loved it. They just loved it. And no, in the midst of doing that, so I would talk to them, I would engage them.
Yeah.
But then I would notice that they would go back home, and after some time I would discover it's like they change, then they go back, they regress.
They reset to
Yes.
yeah.
And I was like, you can't handle the children away from the family because they go back home. And parents are very key and core in a child's upbringing.
Yeah.
Children get the parents' voice. They have the parents' DNA. It's, the child is sort of a mirror of their parent. So I was like, why don't we do the parents now, Get a place where the parents learn how to parent in a fun way. That's when Let's Bond was born. So there was Let's Bond the book, then there was Let's Bond the manual, then there was Let's Bond the program.
Amazing.
That was 2019. And then 2020 came and there was Corona. And I started doing the webinars now for parents.
Oh, yeah, because now everyone's locked up. So you're having to find a way to reach parents.
My biggest worry around the shutdown was we were not talking enough mental health,
And how that was impacting everybody. Yeah.
Yes. First of all, just being closed in a house is not healthy mentally. You need the sunshine, you need the fresh air. You need to get out somehow. But now you can't get out. Then you are in the house with people you usually see twice in a day, early in the morning and late in the evening.
And now it's like 24/7.
You are stuck with them.
Yeah.
And then families struggle with communication.
Yeah.
More than workplaces struggle with communication. Because at work, I have to communicate properly,
And maybe at work, you are also putting on this facade, this whole persona. It's like, if I can just get through these 8 hours being this way, then I'll be fine. And after that, the remains of the day is what my family gets or my house gets or,
Yeah, once you close that door to your house, life beyond embarrassment now. Now the real you has landed. Imagine you're living with the real people.
Yeah, there's
for
no
a
relief.
whole year closed in the same house.
Yeah.
And then came the loss of job. Then they came, as in there was just
Financial
so much
strain, especially for people that were running businesses and experiencing shutdowns or having to close their businesses, bankruptcy. Yeah.
So that's what the webinar started with, the Let's Bond, and we would have parents on board and we would discuss parenting and having kids and spouses.
Yeah.
I never thought I would do spouses. But then
But you do families, so by default,
you can't do kids without doing parents. And if you do parents, you will do spouses or you will do the co-parent or,
Yeah.
It's a whole society
Yeah.
thing. So that was 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
And then 2020, I started working with the money. Now.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's not only at that point that I remembered that I used to sell vegetables when I was younger.
How old were you?
My mom had a farm.
Yeah.
She still has a farm. She loves farming.
Yeah.
And guys would come home to buy the vegetables. And at times she would be like, "Come see you sell," Up to until then, it had not hit me that I was doing business then,
You were just helping mom.
Yes, because then I would know this amount of vegetables.
Yeah.
Is this amount of money.
How old were you? When this was happening?
I was in lower primary. Must have been 7, 8.
My
7,
goodness.
8, 9 years.
And you knew,
yes.
okay, this is 200 shillings. This bunch costs this much. Did she show you? Or was it just a case of, hey, sell to?
Modeling. I had observed her doing it.
Yeah.
Most of our parents would not sit down to teach you.
Yeah.
We learned so many things.
Yeah, you learn by
modeling.
observation. Yeah.
So we would watch and we would just, learn how to do it. And I would say we usually have this joke in our family. Our dad was a mathematician.
Mm-hmm.
And my father was that man who would find you on the corridor and goes like, Bella, good morning. 13 times 13.
That is my dad.
Now
Oh
you
my
know.
goodness. Okay, maybe they went to the same school because my dad would you're just randomly minding your own business and it's like a
Yes.
6 times 4. You
Yeah.
know?
So there's no way you would not know how to do back change. As in, because you have grown with math in your fingers.
Yeah.
This is 200. You are subtracting, you're giving back change. It
Yeah.
comes sort of
Yeah, automatic. It's
naturally.
just
Yes. So I discovered that did impact me at that age when I was
Yeah.
still developing.
yeah.
And I discovered I got a love for business around that time. It was so silent because I wanted to grow up and be a doctor. I mean, you know. So I didn't discover how much fun it was giving something and getting something in
Back in
return.
return,
Yes. And the calculating and that feeling of I have earned something.
Yeah.
It came back to me when I was writing this book.
Yeah.
And around the same time is when I was remembering a very interesting thing with my own kids.
Yeah.
My firstborn, I sent her to the shop when she was 3 years for the first time. And it's because I would go to the shop and she was like, I want a sweet, I want, you know.
Yeah. So when you
And
talk about
so-
shop, just for context, just for in case anyone's like, oh my goodness, like a local
Yes.
shop, like kiosk type situation.
Yes,
that
the
would-
one that is inside the estate.
Yeah, estate. At least,
Very
at least you can
safe.
monitor.
Yes, and it's a place where everybody knows everyone, you
ah,
know.
okay.
So it's a neighborhood where they have grown up and, you know, they play
Yeah.
outside with other kids.
Yeah.
So it's their playground and the shop is next to it.
Yeah.
So it's not
So this
like...
was intentional on your part. There's a reason why I'm sending her. I want to teach her something. Okay.
So I gave her money and I sent her to the shop for 3 eggs. And the girl took the money. I went to the shop and I was waiting in the house knowing very well. Okay.
Firstly, eggs with a toddler.
And she ran to the shop and she brought me 3 broken eggs. And she was like, Mom, they broke. And I'm like, yes, eggs break, you know? And I was like, it's okay. You don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But next time, just walk. Don't run.
Oh, she ran.
Kids would run if you send
Of
them.
course.
You know,
And
because they
especially
want...
she's excited. What I was asked to do, I have done. I have to show mom, you know?
Yes. And since then, she learned how to walk.
There you go.
And I would say when we are teaching children about money, let's teach them how to walk. Especially in this generation when everything is so fast and
Yeah.
instant.
I was gonna
And
say.
money does grow on trees, but you have to tend the tree.
Yep.
So we have to teach them how
So that
to
it can
walk.
keep producing.
And in walking, it's also intentional. You learn to be present. You learn to observe. Because if you are running on the road, you might not see the branching roads.
Don't have a focus. Yeah.
Yes, but when you are walking, you're able to see a bird passed there. That's a rabbit. That's an elephant. There's a leopard there. So I need to take another route. So when we are teaching them money, let's teach them how to walk.
So I'll take you back a little bit. So you're saying that you had this idea, okay, I'm going to send and I'm guessing this 3-year-old, was that your firstborn at that time?
Yes.
And for you, the intention was, I want to teach her about money. Were you thinking this is the right time? Was that something always at the back of your mind where it's like, I want to, when this girl is old enough, I want to start teaching her about money. And so at some point you're like, I think this is as good a time as any. I mean, and I'm asking this to you as a mom, I'm asking this to you as a psychologist, when is too early? When is too late? You know, when is a child too old? Why age 3?
Because she was ready.
How do you gauge that?
You teach when a child is ready.
Yeah.
When they start asking for things from the shop, they are old enough to learn. When they start having unnecessary attention to money, because they do, they discover this is money, it's different from paper, you know.
Yeah. And they notice, oh, every time mommy does this, we get this.
Yes.
So there's something going on here.
Yes.
There's an
And
exchange.
I would also think it's our relationship with money. We unconsciously don't treat money the way we treat the cup, the spoon, the paper.
Yeah.
So they catch by observing
This is
it.
something valuable. This is something,
Yes. So when they are ready, then you
Yeah.
train them.
Okay.
When it's too early, there's not too early. When the child is ready, teach them. When it's too late, well, late is there.
No, I think about, like, I was saying before, I think about our generation, and it's kind of like maybe there was just this sense of children will learn by osmosis, or again by observation, by modeling. I mean, when I think about it, I was learning about money. I could see the transactions that were taking place. I could see that, we had electricity, but I could also see that there was an electricity bill way back when KPLC would actually issue bills. And then you would go to, where you needed to go. For me, I think it was in Adams, if I'm not wrong. And you would then pay your bill there, and I would see that there was an exchange with money. So I guess I was learning, but it wasn't necessarily a sit down where it's like, okay, let me teach you about, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a sit down around, let's now talk about money. So even with that first lesson that you were giving your daughter, it wasn't, okay, come here today, this is the lesson. No, it was, go to the shops, buy some
Yes.
eggs, here's some money. Did you set an expectation around, was it the exact change that you gave her, or did you tell her you're going to give them this much, they're going to give you this much back? How did you frame the conversation?
At 3 years old, I didn't do all that.
Mm.
I just gave her money,
Mm-hmm.
sent to the shop without expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that age, what expectations are there? It's the whole act of, I have gone to the shop, I have given out money, I have been given something in return, and what I have been given, I need to handle it carefully
Mm-hmm.
than the figures.
Yeah.
At that age, it was more of learning that there is an exchange and I need to be careful or responsible.
Yeah.
The calculations come later in life, even as they learn normal mathematics and all that.
Yeah.
Then they'll be like, oh, this is 20, this is 200, this is 500.
Mm-hmm.
And then they learn how to subtract whatever they have.
Yeah.
And for that, we have a tradition with my husband.
Okay.
We simply go with them to the supermarket and we tell each one of them, you have 500 to spend, and we go quiet. And that one we do for all of them. Okay, apart from the baby.
Yeah.
And we just set them free.
Go into the shop and do what you...
Yes, so we do our things and they walk around and they do their own calculations. I have picked this and this and this. Has it gotten to 500? No, yes. Am I having change? So when we till at the cashier, they'll be like, Dad, I used 317. You have my change.
I like this. So in the book you talk, there's quite a few things, and I love that every chapter, I was saying to you before, you introduce every chapter with a little narrative, a little story, which is really cute. And then now you go into, what the lesson is about. There's a chapter in here about saving money. So when you talked about, and especially if and you guys read the Bible, I don't know, but there's this whole parable around the talents, and, this one was given this much and this one was given this much, and everyone did with their talent what they felt they needed to. So when you talked about the fact that you give your children 500 shillings, in my mind, I'm like, it's very interesting to me. I'm like, how do they, from the 4 kids, I guess, because one's a baby. But what are the different traits that you see in your children based on the lessons that you've taught them? So, I'm thinking about one particular subject I was looking at here, or rather, chapter I was looking at here around budgeting. And then there was one around, savings. So do you have one kid that you've noticed, okay, this one, if I give her 500, it's like we will spend 499 to the dot? Or is there that one that you've noticed, okay, you know what, mom's given me 500. And I think there's a little formula that you've given here around how they can save, how they can spend, and all of that. Is there one who's like practically taken those lessons and gone, Mom, I only wanted to use this much. The rest, please, help me to save. What did you, or what have you noticed with that particular exercise with your kids?
Actually, they're all different. And not just the lessons.
Yeah.
We have the personality.
Aha.
And we have the ages.
Okay.
So they all behave extremely differently.
Yeah.
When it comes to the 500 for spending, there are those who will use the whole of it. There are those who will minimize their spending.
Yeah.
But what I have liked about them is they have learned how to earn money.
Oh, okay.
Talk so about even that. If they would use all of it, they know they have an earning from somewhere else.
Uh-huh.
And they will sit me and the father down and they'll be like, you have our money and it's this. No, they'll calculate for you.
Yeah.
This, and this. You ask how they do it. Like holidays last year.
Okay.
They spent their holidays up country. As in school closed, And I let my husband doing his business, and I took all the kids up country.
Yeah.
And these kids would wake up early in the morning, take care of the goats.
I love
They
that.
loved taking care of the goats.
Yeah.
Interestingly, after the holiday, their uncle, my brother, was like, "You guys have worked so hard." And he paid all of them.
Wow. Was there the expectation set beforehand?
Apparently, no.
Oh.
Because I do life skills wholly. I
Yeah.
don't just do financial literacy.
Yeah.
I like initiative. I like responsibility.
Yeah.
So I don't always give them that expectation that for everything you'll be paid.
Yeah.
For upcountry, I really wanted them to get life skills. They hang off just having the green life, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even tell them, "You have come here, go and take care of goats." No, I minded my own business.
Yeah. Run around, discover. Mm-hmm.
And they would be so helpful on the farm. I
Mm-hmm.
was actually shocked.
Mm.
So when they were paid, the interesting thing, Bella, is none of them touched the money they were paid from the farm. Yes.
Okay.
That one went
Kudos
into
to you've taught them
saving the whole of
something.
it.
You've taught them
Yes.
something, and they've yeah.
So it's easier for them to spend what will be like, you guys have 500 bob spent, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But what they earn from their sweat,
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of them spending that.
That's interesting. So, what does a typical, like, how do you run this day to day? So, you've talked about the fact that they know that they have another source of income. Obviously, maybe there's a small allowance that you give them where you're like, okay, every week we're going to give you this much money. But in terms of them working for their money, what does that look like? Because I've had some conversation with some parents around, especially where I lived. So I was in Australia for a very long time, and they have the concept of board money. So basically, you earn your keep. You live under my roof. So let's say from the age of 10, you are going to have to pay me small, let's call it board. So it's kind of like rent, right? So you're going to have to pay me maybe every week. I expect you to give me about $2. And they start to understand, okay, I need to kind of earn my keep. Some people find that controversial. They're like, oh my gosh, no, that's my child, that's my baby, I had them. So, then there's other parents I've talked to who are like, no, we do not pay them for contributing as a member of the family. So, you clearing the table and taking the dishes to the kitchen, hey, that's just you partaking of the activity of this family. That's just something we do. You emptying the trash or whatever it may be, those kind of general, those are just us working together as a team, working together as a family. So we're not going to pay you for that. However, there's additional things that you can opt to do that we will then pay you for. So for example, if I'm thinking off the top of my head here, but maybe washing the car, that's something that daddy could opt to go have the car washed elsewhere or could have it washed at home. And he offers, hey, who wants to earn, say, $10 or in this case, 100 shillings. And someone puts up their hand and goes, you know what, I could actually use that money. Maybe I'm saving towards something. And so that's an example. So I wanted to know what is I don't know if there's a right or wrong, but I wanted to hear your thoughts around how should we structure it? Should we, again, I kind of agree with, one of the parents that said, for the things that we all contribute to as a family, where we're a team, you cleared the dinner table after we had dinner, great, you were just a team player, but then for the additional stuff, yes, then I'm going to pay you. What are your thoughts on that? And how are you running it? Like, what is a typical week or day-to-day in the Masiga household?
Okay, we don't pay for chores. We don't. Cleaning the house, cleaning the dishes, keeping the place clean, taking care of your clothes, we don't pay for that.
Yeah.
Because it's what you do to live.
Yeah.
We pay for the extras.
Okay.
If there's something that I should do and I'm giving it for you to do, then I pay for that.
You're helping mommy, yeah.
I have a garden. If they're going to work in that garden substantially, then I'll pay them to do it. But if I'm sending the garden to get vegetables for dinner, I'll not pay for that.
You're just going in to harvest and bring in what we need for.
That's food preparation, so I won't pay for that.
Yeah.
And then when they were younger, we started something that it turned to bite us in a very good way. We would be like, for every book you read, we'll give you 50 bob.
So now reading became a way to earn money.
We just both love reading, me and my hubby.
Yeah.
So it was like, I don't think we really thought so much about it.
Yeah.
Because interestingly, all our kids love, love,
Reading.
love books.
So this is by default,
So you
even
can
without the
imagine,
incentive.
yes, you
I
can
love that.
imagine how many 50 bobs you are dishing out.
It's like, that is the easiest thing you ever, what? Read? Okay, I'll do it.
Yes. So they read books they earn from doing it, and they love
Yeah.
reading.
Yeah.
It's not like work they are
Yeah,
doing.
yeah,
They
yeah.
love reading
Yeah.
to a point that right now we're going to the lights off thing because you'll find them.
No way.
Yes.
I love that.
You'll
You're
find
having
them.
to say, guys, put your books away.
Yesterday, yesterday I had my hubby was like, lights off, keep away those books. And I
Yeah.
was like, there we go again.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they love reading.
I
They
seem to
love
recall
doing
my
it.
brothers used to be that way, that they would love the encyclopedias or Hardy Boys or whatever. And it's like, no, it's time for bed. Like,
Yeah.
which is an amazing thing in a digital age where other parents are having conversations around, put that phone down, put that iPad down, put that tablet, you know what I mean? Like, or turn off the TV. Your conversations around, it's lights out, put that book down.
Yes.
I love that. I love that.
So that one, I would say, came back to bite us in a good way.
When did you say, okay, there's no more 50 bob for reading books, guys? Like, this is.
We can't go back.
Wait, so now they're still earning.
These are Gen
and
Alpha.
how much? 50 bob is not too bad.
These are Gen Alphas we
I
are dealing
love it,
with.
yeah.
It's not our generation you'd be like,
Your
go
word is
quiet
bond.
because mom has said.
Yeah.
They'd be like, it's unfair.
Yeah.
You promised, I mean. So we just have to make sure we get the 50 bobs for the books because we said.
Yes, yes.
And they're really having fun with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, I would say those are the means in which they earn because we keep it in the home also.
Yeah.
We keep it in their safe places because even as we are teaching them to earn, their safety comes first. You can't just send them outside there to go and earn money. You don't know who you're sending
No,
them
of course
to.
not. We don't live in that day and age anymore where go to Mama Nani's place and
Go take the shamba.
now, yeah. It's a different, it's unfortunate, but it's a different day and age now.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
now they at some point they got into beadwork.
Okay. Is this because of the arts and crafts center that you're running? I'm guessing?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So they're like, they wanted beads. I got them beads and everything. And these people got into beadwork. And what I loved is, for that particular bead business, that was last year, but one. It taught those kids how to negotiate. It taught them how to negotiate because
To negotiate with you as, I guess, their supplier because you're giving them the beads to, or are you talking about negotiate with what
the
they selling?
customer,
I love that.
they were selling them. They were selling
These
them. Now,
little kids.
to family and friends. Yes, to our family and friends. And they would negotiate their prices. And they will sit down and they're like, if we are using letter beads, it's this much. If we are using stone beads,
love
it's this much.
that.
If you're using plastic beads, it's this much.
Is this something you modeled, or did you teach them like, hey, if you're doing business, you have to know how to value your, products or whatever, your services?
The first ones they sold, they didn't think through. But I was like, wait, I'm doing the capital.
Okay.
We are not going to make a loss.
So
I am
in
not-
essence, you're the investor.
Yes, I was like,
And you're saying,
am
I want
not
to see some
making-
return.
Yes, I'm not making losses here. So I sat down with them and I was like, this is what the beads cost. This is what the string will cost.
Yeah.
And I told them, put in plus your labor.
Yeah.
Put in plus your
You have to
profit.
put an amount against your labor. Yeah.
Yes. Mark your profit and look for the age, your marketing age.
Yeah.
And those guys surpassed me. It was the first two girls. And I was like, okay. I felt proud of myself. I was like, this is good.
They're getting it. And I love this because, Mercy, you've just said that your eldest is 11.
Yes.
Already I'm thinking your kids all the way down to, you said the one just before the 10-month-old is what, 4?
Yes.
They all understood this concept.
They know. The 4-year-old is picking up from where the firstborn picked all those years,
yeah.
because he's still coming up.
Yeah.
But the first 3 are,
Yeah, we get this.
yes.
I love
They're good to go.
that. So I can do something with my hands. I've understood what inputs are. I've understood that my labor is valuable. It costs something. And then I'm expecting a certain return. I'm expecting a profit.
Yes.
And the investor is pushing you saying, I want to see.
Yeah. And that's the money I'm telling you they will not touch.
Yeah.
They will touch whatever we give them to, okay, go spend.
So talk to us about saving. Like, how do you teach your kids about saving? Because, ideally as a child, if I see a whole cake here, if you don't put a cap for me, I'm just going to run. I'm going to eat the whole thing. So how do you frame the conversation around savings and why we do savings? I mean, I can see how you do it in the book, which, by the way, you mentioned that this book, 7 years of age and above, can
5
read
and
this on
above
their
for
own.
fast readers because we have kids
Oh,
who read
really,
early.
really fast, yeah.
Yes.
And then you can always explain the different terminology to them. But it's very, but it's written very, very simply. And like I said, for me, I guess I learned through stories, so I love that there's a little narrative at the start of each chapter. But talk to us a little bit about saving and how you frame that conversation with kids.
I've discovered something, Bella.
Mm.
There is a very big difference between the cake you've bought and the cake the kids have baked by themselves.
Mm.
It's a very big difference.
I love that analogy. Yeah.
Not the sweetness,
Yeah.
not the ingredients,
Yeah.
but when they put something into something, they treat it differently
Yep.
from what they don't know what it costs.
Yeah.
And to digress a bit, I have kids who didn't love vegetables so much.
Yeah.
No, I have a particular kid who didn't used to eat eggs.
Okay.
When,
Just by preference.
yeah,
didn't
when I
like
was
the-
weaning her, I tried egg and she would throw up. So I
Yeah.
knew this one is not for egg.
Uh-huh.
So I would not give her egg
Yeah.
until she hit 6, 7,
Yeah.
and she learned that cooking eggs is easy.
Mm.
So now she then will tell me, Mom, I want to cook eggs. She'll cook herself one egg. She will eat that egg because she's cooked it for herself. So it's just a very big difference between what has been presented to you and what you put in yourself
You
to
worked
make.
for, yeah.
That's what I'm telling you. When it comes to my kids and saving, if we say each one of you has 500 bob, go to the shop and use, chances are very high they will use all of that money.
Mm.
But the money these kids earn,
Mm.
they don't touch.
That's very
They're
interesting.
like, this is my saving.
Yeah.
And I discovered it's inherent in us human beings
Yeah.
to value what we have labored for.
Yes. Yes.
I didn't discover it until
Isn't
I
that
raised
true?
children.
Yeah.
Whatever you have labored for
Yeah.
is sort of
You guard
fresh.
even closer. You're like, nah,
Yes.
this is mine. This is my hard earned.
Yes.
As opposed to free.
So interesting bit is they don't even save it in percentages.
Mhm.
Whatever they earn, they save. As in whatever.
They're not even calculating how it's like, nope, I'm just going to sacrifice.
The only thing they do is sit down with their books end week, end month, and they're like, you have our money.
Yeah.
This, and they have memory from 2, 3, 5 years back.
Wow.
This is for this, this is for this, this is for this, this is this, this is for this.
Yeah.
And what happens is when money comes, we put it in money market.
Yeah.
So the money comes, it goes money market.
Do they understand the money market, or do they trust you as parents to invest on their behalf?
It's a concept we are introducing.
Okay.
So they do know
Yeah.
you earn interest. It's not accessible. You don't just wake up and you're like, it's here.
Yeah, Mom, I know I gave you 1,000 the other day, so cough up. I want my
They know it's simple. You can use the phone to deposit.
Yes.
So the simple concepts, they have that one already.
Yeah.
But they have that memory of, I earned this from this, I earned this from this. My money is somewhere,
And
you
it's
know.
growing. Let's talk
Yes.
about that a little bit because, again, we are living in a digital age. You and I were talking the other day about the fact that, during our days, there was no M-Pesa. And I gave you the example, I think I picked up from one of my parenting groups, that I was in so much shock. And I was sharing this story with someone the other day, and they were like, really? You can tell that divide. We grew up millennial. It was 844. And I don't even know how they're introducing this concept within the CBC. I'm not very familiar with the curriculum. But digital age. We are living in a day and age of M-Pesa. We're living in a day and age of prepaid cards. And so the example I gave you was that there was a parent on there. I can't remember what the question was, but his daughter was going back to boarding school and she had a prepaid card. Gobsmacked. I'm like, what? When I was in boarding school, high school, we would get given a certain amount, and it would be based on the fact that, okay, every week you're using this much, and I'm not seeing you for the next 6 weeks. So I would quickly calculate, because break time we would have buns, just this, it looks like a hamburger bun. And so we would have that. That's the only thing I'd pay for. And that was 5 shillings. And so I'd calculate how many buns over 6 weeks. I'm not going to see my dad, blah, 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 blah. So I would calculate all that. Then plus, the off chance that you would need something extra from the tuck shop. And it was cash money, you
It was
know?
hard money,
And then you
solid.
also were very, very careful about where you hid it, where you kept it, because you know how boarding schools can go. Someone can break into your suitcase, all that. So I'm hearing this guy ask about his daughter and a prepaid card. I was like, what schools are these now? You just swipe. You know that your prepaid card comes loaded with X amount of money, and you go into the tuck shop and you just swipe and you get whatever it is that you need. So I want to talk a little bit about that. How are you educating your kids around? Because I think there's the guys, like it can come across as very simple, just this magical concept that I can jump on my phone and make money happen. Or there's this plastic card and somehow I can just swipe away and so how are teaching your kids around that, and how would you advise anyone else to talk to their kids about these concepts, this idea that there's just money in this space, this cloud that I can't see?
Vaporized money, air money.
Exactly, magical money.
It's actually easy for them because it's their money. It's the generation.
Mm,
It's harder for us because we know the solid money.
yeah.
And that's what was ingrained in us.
Yes.
Money is solid.
We had to learn about this, whereas these guys are born into
They
it.
are
It's
born
just, this is
into-
how we do money.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in fact, they hardly see the hard money nowadays.
That's true. Nowadays it's so rare.
So they don't have the concept of hard money.
In fact, now you have to take them back in the day. There was this thing.
Yes. What they know as money is the credit card
Yeah.
and the M-Pesa.
Yeah.
That's what they know about it.
Yeah.
What I have taught them, what we have taught them is the fact that it's just the same hard money that is converted to go into that phone. So you're not assuming it comes from nothing. You still have to earn that money. The process is the same.
Yeah.
What's different is the presentation.
Yeah.
That's
get that.
what we have to teach them.
I like that.
And
yeah.
we've gone with them to the shops enough times to deposit money on M-Pesa or to withdraw money. And they know how to do it now. And M-Pesa is having a service for teens already.
Oh, do they?
Yes.
Okay, this is new. What is it called?
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember, but it's been around for some time, a few
I'll
months.
find out the details and I think I'll include them in there.
But they have a service for teens.
Yeah.
Where they can pay using M-Pesa.
Mhm.
It just has more parental restrictions,
Mhm.
but there's an M-Pesa service
Yeah.
for
I
the under
love that.
18s
Yeah.
already going on.
And I hope it's something that you can attach to, you have visibility of what your child's activities are on. I like that.
The interesting bit, it's my kids who told me. I had no idea.
Keep in mind that your eldest is 11, so I love that. They're very exposed. They know what's going on there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now they're on my neck. They want an account.
Aha, so that's how the conversation came up. It's like, hey, there's this thing. We
Yes.
want to be able to have visibility. So when is too young for a phone? I guess there's so many reasons why we would have a phone, why we would use a phone. Obviously, there's communication, there's a safety, there's security, there's all these different things. But, as regards money, so say this app, your kids are already asking you, they want to have one. When do you think is a good time and age? Because I think there's the throes of social media. There's a whole other thing that we're gonna look into with phones. But just as regards money, what are your thoughts? What has your response to your kids been?
Money or phones?
Phones.
Phones.
And using, because now they're telling you there's an app out there, Mom.
Do I speak as a therapist?
I guess your mothering is influencing your therapy journey, or rather, you being a therapist, and then your being a therapist is also influencing that you show up as a parent. So feel free to respond.
Phones are made for addiction. They're specifically made to make you addicted to them. So before you expose your children to the phone, you have to have that in mind.
Yeah.
That phones are designed specifically for addiction. Because anything that goes into that phone, they make their money by you being on that phone longer and longer and longer. So kids less than 5 years should not be exposed to screens. Well, we go to that point where they say supervise
Yeah.
the exposure, and that includes the phone. If you are going to train developing brains around addiction.
Mm.
And addiction is a trait where it may not come in the same thing. It might come in form of something else.
Mm.
Because the mind gets used to being hooked on something
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get the dopamine release.
yeah,
So with phones, we really have restricted them for our kids.
yeah.
Do they get phones? Yes. Do they have their phone? Yes. But we really restrict how long they can be on that.
Mm.
We do the old school,
Mm-hmm.
go out and play.
I love that.
Because
Is there any other better way? I mean, that's what we were designed for. We're social beings. We're supposed to be out there interacting with one another, learning how to negotiate on the, playground and, life skills, communication skills.
yes,
Yeah.
they need human touch.
Yeah.
Because the phone does simulate, it mimics
Mm.
the human touch,
Mm.
but then it
not real.
wires your brain around itself.
Mm.
And you get that people start struggling with living with each other and living with themselves just because of the overexposure.
Mm.
So if we are teaching them a concept on phone,
Yeah.
they have it when we are teaching the concept.
Yeah.
We do allow them to play a few phones on games, games
Games
on
on
phone.
the phone. Yeah.
We do allow them to interact with AI because it's the generation.
Yeah.
But I would not say they have a free reign on gadgets in the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
The good thing is they love playing with their friends.
Who
Parents,
doesn't?
yes.
Especially when you're that age.
Yes. So
Fun is in interacting with someone of your age group and,
so we haven't had a big battle
yeah.
around that.
Yeah.
So yes, we expose them,
Yeah.
but it's still restricted for now.
And I love what you said that if we are introducing a concept, then that's what we're using the phone for in that
Yes.
moment. So for example, when they are ready to get, you said it's a teen app. So when they are ready to start using that application, then we're going to
Yes.
run how it works, run through how it works, and that's it.
Yeah, and when they need it for whatever transaction,
Yeah.
you can have the phone.
Yeah.
Of course, for now, supervised. Supervision, I would say, lessens the older you grow.
Mm.
I always say we raise our children to let go.
Okay.
We don't raise our children to hold on to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't supervise my 11-year-old the way I supervise my 4-year-old.
Mm.
My 11-year-old has much more freedom than my 4-year-old.
Yeah.
I don't want by the time she's hitting 18, I'm still having to do everything.
Tight controls. And I'm guessing that you are doing it in a measured approach because there are values that you've instilled in the 11-year-old that you now trust them to be able to apply that
Yes.
as they peruse or whatever they're doing on the phone, versus what you are still teaching the 4-year-old.
Yes.
And self-control is not even a concept for a 4-year-old. It's like, and not, same thing with an 11-year-old, but there's a difference in, the way they
Yes.
approach.
But I also expect more responsibility from the 11-year-old.
Mm.
So I'll be firmer.
Yeah.
I might not supervise her as much,
Yeah.
but I'm firmer with her
Yeah.
than I am with the younger siblings.
Yeah.
Because with age comes more responsibility and
Yeah.
comes more expectation from me
Yeah.
than I would expect from the younger ones.
Okay.
And they do know. They do know everything is age appropriate.
Yeah.
And not just age appropriate, but development appropriate, because no two children develop at the same rate.
Mm.
You can get a fast maturing 4-year-old and a slow maturing
Gotcha.
4-year-old.
Yeah.
And slow maturing in our eyes, because we have parameters we use to measure,
Of course.
you might discover this child you're calling slow has something that they developed faster than the one you call the fast developer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's sort of letting them find themselves.
Yeah.
And being in touch with your children and knowing, okay, they're old enough for food preparation. Okay, they're old enough for money lessons. Okay, your mind has to work around that.
Yeah.
And I always say, for us parents, if you keep your eyes on the phone for too long, you will miss all those things.
Absolutely. And you are also modeling.
Yes.
They're looking at you going, oh, okay, there's something about that device. And so come the time, they get lost in that world as well. Okay, I'll come to that in a second because I want to talk about where parents can get this book. I read it in one sitting, and I think it's something that I can go through. I think I told you that I have an 8-year-old nephew. I think it's something that we could sit down with. I love the fact that there's a workbook. So, there's all these spaces where they can jot down what they're learning. And then, there's little pockets where they can interview their parents and ask them about, how do you save and what do you save and for and all of that. I love that you've covered things like insurance, and it's so important to teach kids about these things and the different types of investments and budgeting. I mean, this is I love it because it was also guiding me as a parent around, oh my gosh, yes, those are conversations we need to have. These are conversations I wish I had, when I was much younger. So I'm going to talk about where they can get this book. But for a new parent like myself, you started off at 3-year-old. How would you, book aside, how would you encourage us to start on the journey? Like, how does it, for you, it looked like just something as simple as sending them to the shops with a bit of money. And so, does it have to be, because I think we as human beings, or maybe me, I like to follow a guideline. And that's why I'm loving this book. But I like to follow this structured kind of like step one, step two. But how do we practically apply this? Like, how do we start at home? I have, a energetic 2-year-old who, I'm sort of in the throes of now teaching, hey, when we go to the shop, you don't just grab something off the shelf. That's not ours. And the thing that has worked, because I tried so many different things, the thing that has worked is I have to go, oh, that belongs to uncle. That belongs to auntie that owns the shop. Yes, Carrefour. The uncle that owns Carrefour, that's his. So we have to ask him permission to get that. And we're going to have to give him something to then buy that. And so, for her, the uncle that owns Carrefour is the teller, or the auntie that owns Carrefour is the teller. So we're starting to have those conversations. But how do we start? How do we start having those conversations, especially around, okay, say, maybe we have a 3-year-old, or maybe thus far we haven't had those conversations and I'm the mom to an 11-year-old or a 10-year-old, 15-year-old. How do we start those conversations and make them practical? I mean, I imagine consistency is key, because if you've said something, then you have to stick with it. But how do we start?
I always say for all life skills, finances included, wear your child. You know
Wear
the way
your
the
child.
kangaroo wears the child in the pot?
The pouch. Yeah.
Wear your child.
Okay. Break that down.
Whatever you do it with your child.
Mm.
Go shopping with your child. Budget with your child. Make decisions with your child.
Yeah.
So they don't assume adults just wave a wand and,
Yeah.
something happens. Let your child understand your life, because life skills are understood in life. They're actually the skills for living, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can only understand them in real life.
Yeah.
And at home, we don't always do the school, sit behind a blackboard. This is money. This is, you see what?
Yeah.
But at home, it's the living, it's the practical.
Yeah.
So you wear your child. Well, you've said it's okay. You go to the supermarket, they know I can't just pick.
Yeah.
I have to give something in return.
Yeah.
And when they see money and they ask, be honest, as honest as you can with it. This is money. It's used in exchange for something.
Mm-hmm.
And the earlier, the better. They
Okay.
get the concept growing up.
Yeah.
What happens if you don't teach them very early? They develop an entitlement.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you are starting it at 10, 11, 12,
Yeah.
the work might be slightly harder
Yeah.
than someone said it earlier. Because the older they grow, the more they feel, I deserve this just because, So it's hard to start telling them, okay, now you have to earn.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, why should I earn? Why should I earn?
Yeah.
So the earlier, the better. But I always say start from where you are. Even if it's 18 or
Just
21,
start. Yeah.
start from where you are.
Yeah.
The Chinese say the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is today.
Yeah.
So start where you are.
That is so good.
Yes, and you will have to be firmer with the older.
Yeah. Especially because, they're not as green as the younger ones. So now you're having to unlearn certain things with them,
Yes.
So I'm guessing, and this is something I wanted to say, as you were talking about where your child, I imagine to the level that of their understanding, you're having
Yes.
budgeting conversations with your children. I'm guessing you're having conversations around we are saving towards project A, and you're involving them in those kind of conversations. Is that what you mean? If I'm paying a bill, I'm including them in that particular
Yes.
conversation around, okay, now we're paying for our token or whatever it might be. This is how we go about it.
Yes. And also for the small things that they want or the big things that they want.
Aha.
I want a bike. Your bike is 20,000.
Let's work towards it.
Yes. I want a toy. Your toy is 2,000. Let them understand the figure that goes behind whatever they want. I want my birthday. Instead of just throwing your child a birthday, why don't you sit with that child and you're like, this is balloons, this is
That's
streamers,
budget. Yeah.
this is deca, this is the trampoline, this is
You mean all this goes into
Yes.
I love that.
I have this for your birthday.
Yeah.
What would you prefer? We go out, you spend all the money, we break it down, we spend half the money, and you get to save the rest of the money. So kids, but they love options.
And then they can choose.
Then they
make
can
a choice.
choose. Yes.
I love this. You put the responsibility back on them. Masi, where can parents get this book?
Nuria Bookshop.
Nuria Bookshop. I'm gonna put all that information in the description.
Yes.
Nuria, that's Nuria Bookshop.
Yes.
Okay. Where is that located?
It's in town, around the bazaar.
Do they do deliveries or? Because
Nuria.
I can't remember personally. I can't remember the last time I went to town. I'm just being honest here. I'll see. It was probably last year sometime for something. That was probably once or twice last year I went to. So for anyone that's not able to go to town, where can they get this? Where can they access
sell
this?
them.
You sell them. I
And
know
I
I'm
do
deaf, and that's how I
deliveries,
met
yes.
you on the marketplace. So how can they get in touch with you? What details can we provide for them to be able to do that directly through you if they want to have it delivered to them? Is there a digital version of this, or is it just a hard copy?
For now, it's just a hard copy.
Okay. And you also mentioned to me that you are going to do a revised version of this because everything is changing as we are going along. So when can we expect that copy?
The next copy, not the next copy, not really a
revised-
revision,
Oh, is it a
but
completely-
another book.
Ah,
yes.
okay. So like a
Another
second
book.
volume or two to you're
Volume
adding on
2,
to
yes,
this. Okay.
Yes. Let's give it September because it's something work in progress
You're still
already.
working on
Yes,
it.
let's give it September.
Exciting. Okay. And I'm hoping we're going to hear things in there, a little bit about Bitcoin and all these cryptocurrencies. And because it's something that we need to stop and consider, because for us, it's a new concept, or it's a concept that is fairly new and everyone's still trying to discover. But for them, and at the rate the technology is going, like you said, the reason our kids are comfortable with the concept of digital money or digital markets and things like that is because they've been born into it.
Yes.
So when I'm thinking about with Gen Alpha, next year, your child will be educating you on, okay, mommy, this is Bitcoin, this is how this works. And, so I'm hoping that this book will have a little bit of that in
All
there.
the new things about money, all the new things about wealth
And in a way
creation,
that we
yes.
can break it down for our children to understand. So Nuria Bookshop, and then any other details in terms of how they can reach you via social media, I will
My
actually
telephone
include in the
number, yes.
description. And they can then get in touch with you directly. But Masi, thank you so much for having the conversation with us today. Thank you for I urge you strongly, because for me, everything that she's talked about in here, you're like, oh yeah. But then it's done in such a simple way that sort of guides the conversation that you would have with your children. And in very simple terms, concepts like insurance that you think, oh, surely I'm going to have that with my 18-year-old, No, this is a concept that you can sit down and explain to your 7-year-old in such a simple way. You talk about smart investments, you talk about budgeting, you talk about how they can make monthly contributions. You've taken the concept of a piggy bank to a notch higher. And I love the little narratives and the stories at the start of each chapter. So this is something you can sit down and read with your kids. Or, if you have fast readers, like she said, it's something that you can give to your child. And then at the end of the day, sit down and go, okay, let's walk through the workbook together. So thank you so much for having this conversation with us, Masi. I have a feeling, because I want to talk about Let's Bond. I want to talk about so many different things and the work that you've done with families. But I just want to say thank you so much for having, or rather being here with us today, giving us your time. 5 kids, clinical psychologist. Run only 5 kids, because
Yes.
you're working up to your mother's, which is 12 kids. Entrepreneur, wife, And I know you have to pick up your 4-year-old. Actually, I'm looking at the clock now. You have to pick up your 4-year-old after this, because that's what transparent parenting looks like. It's like, okay, I'm sitting down doing a podcast, but I know at the back of my mind, I'm thinking I need to pick up my child. So Mercy, thank you so much for being on here today. We look forward to having more discussions with you outside of finances, maybe even in September when you release your next book. So until next time, everyone, thank you so much for being here with us. Again, I'm going to say it: like, subscribe, share, invite a friend. And I would love to hear from you if there are critical conversations that you feel that we need to be having, things that you want to talk about, things that you want to hear about. I would absolutely love to hear from you in the comments below, or you can DM me via Instagram. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Juma, I need you to do something dramatic, like,
That's too dramatic.
like, I'm kidding. Hello. Gosh, Juma, I forgot which introduction. Thank you.
You're
We'll have
talking
that.
to me.
Yes. Hey, Juma. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back.